You're out on the trail, you've set up your little spot on a hill, and you just want to see what's happening in the distance without having to fumble with a giant scope or a clunky camera. The big problem is that most binoculars either give you a blurry mess when the wind picks up, or they lock you into a single magnification that either makes the whole scene look like a smear or forces you to stare at a tiny detail while the rest of the landscape disappears. That's why finding something reliable, easy to live with, and actually worth the money feels like a gamble, especially when a lot of products look great on paper but fall apart when you try to use them on a windy day or in low light. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a couple of evenings actually taking the SIG SAUER Zulu6 FDE HDX out for a spin. First thing I noticed was the promise of image stabilization in a portable, 20 binocular. In my experience, most stabilized optics are either huge, suited for a tripod, or they only work when you keep the device perfectly still. The Zulu6 claims 2 modes of OIS, optical image stabilization, plus an OIS scan mode that's supposed to smooth out handshake while you move it around. I tried it on a breezy afternoon while the trees swayed, then again from a moving boat on a lake, and even in total darkness using a flashlight. The result was surprisingly steady. In the first scenario, the view held together enough that I could actually follow a distant hawk without the image turning into a jittery blur. On the boat, the stabilization let me keep the shoreline in focus while the boat rocked, something a regular pair of 20 binoculars would have struggled with. The flashlight test was more about the HDX glass. This thing does let a little light through that you'd normally lose with standard lenses, so even the faintest glimmer of a distant lantern became recognizably clear. Now, here's where the reality check comes in. The Zulu6 is built with a full-size, rugged housing that feels solid, but it's definitely on the heavier side for something you'd carry all day. At about 3 pounds, it's not a weightlifting session, but you'll feel it if you strap it to a backpack along with a camera and other gear. If you're a birdwatcher who goes out for a few short walks, that weight might be a nuisance, but for a hunter, a marine observer, or anyone who spends a few hours setting up a spot to watch a scene, the trade-off feels worthwhile. The product also comes in a flat dark earth finish that's meant to blend into the environment, good for hunting, not so much for a city park stroll where a bright black might stand out less. One practical strength that's easy to miss in the spec sheet is the full range of prescriptions claim. SIG SAUER actually offers lenses that can be tailored to different vision needs, which means you don't need to wear your glasses over the binoculars, a common annoyance that can make the view fuzzy or cause extra glare. If you're someone who already wears glasses, you'll appreciate that you can order a version with the prescription built in, so you get a crystal clear image without the extra layer. That's a real convenience you won't find in most high magnification binoculars. On the flip side, the high magnification of 20 comes with a narrowing field of view that can be frustrating when you're trying to track moving subjects. While the OIS helps keep things steady, you still have to move the binoculars quite a bit to keep a fast-moving bird or a boat in frame, and the edges of the view can feel a little tunnel-eyed. In practice, that means you need to be fairly deliberate about where you aim the binoculars, and you won't get the same situational awareness you might with a 10 pair. If you're used to scanning large swaths of sky or water, you may find yourself constantly resetting the focus, which can get tiring over a long outing. Another practical weakness is battery life. The stabilization system is powered by a small rechargeable battery that you can't swap out for a fresh set on the go. In my testing, it lasted about 5 hours of continuous use before the performance started to dip. For a day-long hike, that's fine if you remember to charge it the night before, but if you're planning a weekend backcountry excursion where you might be out for 12 hours, you'll either need a portable charger or a backup plan. That's a hidden trade-off that makes the Zulu6 less plug-and-play than a purely optical pair. So, who should buy this? If you're a hunter, marine observer, or serious wildlife photographer who needs to lock onto faraway subjects and can afford a few extra pounds in your pack, the Zulu6 feels like a genuine solution. The image stabilization, especially the scan mode, reduces the frustration of handshake and lets you actually use a